Hello, everyone. It is Kelly O'Neill, and I want to welcome you to another Profitology case study. Today, we have got the absolutely stunning and beautiful Karrie Brazaski of Redwood Executive Coaching. She is here on the broadcast with us today. So, welcome, Karrie.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I am so thrilled to have you here. So marketing to corporate, different animal.
Yes.
It's a different animal. Okay, so tell us a little bit, just give everyone, so that they understand, give everyone kind of like your overview and your background.
So I am now with good positioning for my corporate market. I am a burnout recovery specialist, as well as an employee retention strategist. So what I do is actually help organizations to be able to hold on to their key leaders so that they don't have that burn and churn and constant turnover that's costing them dollars as well as organizational history. So before coming in, I had a corporate healthcare background and was doing some coaching over the last couple of years, but never really got the traction that I really wanted to be able to go into the corporate market. One, to actually have them do more than one conversation with me on the phone. And then the other is the confidence in myself to kind of bring my background as corporate healthcare that I had been in and my nursing background and everything all in to be able to serve them in the way that I wanted to.
And talk about that a little bit. So you had been in the nursing and in the healthcare field.
Yeah, I am a nurse of 28, 29 years. And I was a chief operating officer and chief nursing officer for 15 until, unfortunately, the things that I now teach people, I did not have in place for myself. So I totally burnt out and crashed, and my health was in the toilet. I was doing my job, but I was like always looking for when could I go to bed. I felt like I was a terrible mom, a terrible wife. And it was just got to that point where you kind of look around and you're like, I worked this hard for this.
Yeah.
There's got to be more.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I think that a lot of people are getting there nowadays with, especially, even in the entrepreneur market with that like whole hustle and grind mentality, people are burning themselves into the ground doing all the things, as you know, I am not a proponent of.
Yes. That's why I love your program.
Not at all a proponent of. Okay. So what year did you start your business?
3 years ago.
Okay. So you started your business 3 years ago, and kind of in the last, like pre us meeting, what was kind of going on with your business? Like, where were you feeling stuck? What were you doing? What were you not doing? Like, what was going on?
So prior to PBI, I really was getting a lot of clients from a local psychiatrist that was just word of mouth. And while I loved being able to work with them, they didn't get me excited. And I was barely charging. We won't even say my worth. It was just, we were barely charging.
I would have a heart attack, that barely charging.
A little bit higher than that, but yeah.
A little bit higher than Kelly's heart attack ratio. Yeah. Okay, got it. Okay, good. Okay, good. By the way, you guys, PBI stands for Profitology Business Incubator, and that's a program that Karrie is in. Okay, keep going, Karrie.
So, but it was very sporadic. I'd get some, and then, there'd be kind of a lull, and then you kind of work to get a few more, but there was never a consistent, as you talk about, the profit roller coaster, and not having a clear, consistent plan. And I had actually been in a couple other programs, and it was, do this social media, do this, do that. And it felt like I was constantly doing, but never serving. I mean, I might be serving them in a way, online, but I was never able to connect with the people that I really, really had a heart to work with. And so it was just a constant struggle.
And so were you feeling, because I know one of the things you said to me is it's, like you were doing, but you weren't actually getting any traction.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it was like, I'll do anything. You tell me stand on that corner of my head if it'll help me get clients and I can serve the people that I want, I would do it. But even the things that people were telling you to do didn't work. And what I found is that it's because like my clients aren't sitting on Facebook. My clients, I mean, they might be there, but they're not saying, hey, I'm burnout and stressed over here. They are keeping their whole image that everything is perfect. They're not going to speak up.
Right. And if they are there, it is certainly not because they are looking for solutions. They're looking to mind numb and check out.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got in the program, and I want you to share like what has made, because now you're on a roll.
Yes.
So what are you doing differently now? Like, one of the things that I think is so important is, and for those of you who are watching that may not be familiar with this, I do not believe in a one-size-fits-all business strategy. You know, Karrie is going to a corporate market. Karrie has a very specific background. She has very specific people that she's going after, and those clients have very specific needs. I believe in customized strategy. And as Karrie said, Karrie does not have a mindset issue. And Karrie does not have, I mean, she's growing like the rest of us, but like she has no gaping mindset issue, right? And she does not have an implementation issue. So there's one of three places I look when a business is off. I look at, are they having a massive, like, are they self-sabotaging themselves? So are they having a massive mindset challenge? Do they have a strategy problem, or do they have an execution problem, or a combination of the both? And if they're not executing, it generally points back to, guess where? A mindset issue, because that's actually part of their self-sabotage process that they are probably not aware of. That's not what was happening with Karrie, right? So what have you done, in the last, 3-6 months? What have you done that has turned it around for you? Like, what did you realize? What have you now realized now that you didn't know previously after putting yourself through the Profitology process, or being in the middle of the Profitology process?
That's so funny. It gives me goosebumps. So really it clicked, I would say in the last 3 months, because even prior to that, I didn't have my messaging nailed down. And so number one, we changed my company name. I went from Karrie Brazaski Coaching, because everybody said, oh, do your name, because as you change, you can do this. But you and I chatted, and I'm like, I don't always want to be the front of my business. I don't want to have this growing forever. I want to be able to, at some point, probably sell my company as a potential retirement plan. Right. I want to be able to do other things, not always be Karrie Brazaski Coaching. So being able to change from Karrie Brazaski Coaching to Redwood Executive Coaching, one, just the name changed the feel and the vibe. And I even talk to people now who they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you changed your name. That's what they say to me.
Well, it wasn't just your name. I mean, you frankly had gotten really, and I say this because I don't think that anyone intentionally ever gives someone bad advice, but you've gotten really uneducated branding advice, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
It was not strategic. It was like, just do it, which is like, isn't that the motto, right?
Yeah.
Just do it. Just pick something and go.
Action. I was the poster child for imperfect action.
Right. So it was not going to resonate. And even the way her brand was, she had a very life coachy feel brand. And the minute I looked at that, I was like, oh, wait a minute, there's a big disconnect here, because you are a powerhouse. She's got quiet power. It's a beautiful power. She's a powerhouse. It's like, and I see this dragonfly, and I'm like, yeah, put that on a fucking coffee cup. Pardon my French, but I'm like, put it on a coffee cup. It doesn't belong in your brand. Like, if you like dragonflies, get a t-shirt, get a sweatshirt, get a little dragonfly stuffed toy. Don't put it in your brand. But please, I digress. Keep going.
Yeah, so we changed it, and we new logo and did a little bit of branding, which is kind of out of the Profitology, but it truly was because it was needed to be able to communicate what I was doing. So if anybody looks at that and says, why'd she go to branding? I didn't really, but and then the other was the way in which I was communicating it. So I kept, stress and burnout was kind of the talking points, but really That's not what they care about. What they care about is profits, performance, and productivity. I've been there. I've sat through the meetings for years and years and years. No one ever said, "Ooh, we got to have some work-life balance for our employees." Now they talk about it kind of secondarily, but when they're looking at key performance indicators, they are not looking at, do our employees feel balanced? Now, engagement, I do bring engagement in because that's a pretty big buzzword for my people, but to be able to get the engagement, it's because it comes from performance and productivity that then touches their profits. And so now I can have a much better educated conversation to where they're listening before I can tell them what I actually do.
Right. I love that. And let's talk a little bit about your business strategy, because you were completely avoiding the most, you were completely avoiding, and no one had called you on it. You were completely avoiding the most obvious, perfect client sect.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
So
you're not only was your branding and messaging was off, but you were also all of the marketing you were doing was targeting the least likely people to buy it. Strangers.
I mean, you talk about stranger danger.
I was just gonna say that. I'm like, stranger danger. Do not go after strangers.
Like, crazy lady, stranger danger. So one of the things that Kelly teaches is to actually go after warm leads. So your own personal database and your own connections that you're making instead of cold outreach or cold just plastering crap on the internet. And so once I started being much more strategic with the people that the people that I was connecting with, and even if it was kind of a colder warm, like it wasn't a personal connection of mine, but it was a connection of a connection, I got much more strategic as to who those people were. And then the other was, and to me, the biggest, so even before all of the name change, it's clarity. It's knowing what I wanted and what I need. For example, I had a conversation this morning with someone, and she's a financial accountant. And I said, and she works with people to, build their businesses and do all their finances. And I'm like, the perfect client for me is those people who you see that are having lots of problems with turnover. Now, not all turnover is bad. Some of it's very good and we want it to go. But when it's really costly and you're losing those key people. And she was like, I have somebody I need you to talk to. And she said, because I need them to not lose them for me.
Right.
So she's seeing it. This is the key person in that company. And she said, and they're stressed. And I can tell every time I talk to them on the phone. So she's making an introduction. So it's being much more strategic with who you connect with and how you ask and what you say that you need to help you grow in your business.
We call that getting your market to message match. And Karrie did not have a market to message match. And that is
market to message.
Okay, well, I mean, but now you do, so it's okay. Yeah. You're good now. So that was a big piece. But the other piece that I was alluding to is that you were actually avoiding the whole area in which you had the most experience.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was alluding to. It's like, and no one called you out on this, that you like.
So I was avoiding healthcare. Totally. I mean, I have 29 years in it, and like when I look at my personal database, 75% of my contacts are related to healthcare. And I was avoiding it because I was so burnt out on it. And once I came to terms with being able to kind of marry that's the beauty of Kelly. Kelly can help you marry your past to what your future vision is, to where it's a synergy instead of a struggle and a fight. But you have to get over the past trauma of what has occurred to get you to this point. If you've come from another, if you've always done your business, then it's very different. But most of us have come from some other type of job before we become entrepreneurs. Right. So it's marrying those two and being okay with it. Yeah.
And making peace with it.
Yeah.
Make peace with it, because I mean, it really took us like a very short conversation. I think it was like a 3-minute conversation when I reframed it for you, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
yes.
And
Why am I not going?
sharing, and I wasn't even sharing all these amazing accomplishments. I mean, like I've helped people companies change their culture, get into top 100, best places to work in healthcare. I mean, amazing things, that waiting lists for nurses, 800 applicants for one position in a market that,
Right.
was oversaturated. So it's, yeah.
I love it. Okay. So just to recap, because I want to make sure that people that are, when you're trying to go into the corporate market, you've got to make sure your positioning is correct for that market. Number one, you've got to make sure that your messaging is dialed for and this is with anything, with the people that are going to write the check, the people that are going to sign the contract, not necessarily the end user, right? It's like your market is the person who's going to enroll the contract. And you've got to look for the synergies of what it is that you already have. Like, again, Karrie had this whole, she kept saying, well, I'm doing these collaboration calls and they're not going anywhere. And I'm like, well, then let's stop and figure out why they're not going anywhere, because we know collaboration calls work. So what is it that's off in this for you that we need to fix? And I was like, and wait a minute. And then I think I said to you, and you're making these to your own database, right? And you're like,
No.
And I'm like, and you're like, well, and that's how we got into this conversation. The minute that she got this message alignment, she got the confidence, she started calling to the people she already had experience with and who already knew her, loved her, liked her, trusted her, and are going to hand walk her in. That's when everything just kind of went,
yeah.
And the doors blew open. So what would the advice be that when you get someone who is, maybe coming from that corporate background, or maybe they're not coming from that corporate background, but they are wanting to get into, marketing themselves to corporate, what would be like what are a couple tidbits that you would give them?
I would say the number one is think back to how you, and I don't think you always have to serve how you were prior, but take the knowledge that you have, because if you've been in those environments, how they think. Like corporate world thinks very different than coaching world or marketing world. And so to be able to kind of take what you have and be able to work upon it. Now, like I said, some people come from very dysfunctional, and it can either be a very positive thing that you take forward, or here's how I'm never going to do it, because this is how people treated me and I don't want to do that. And so being able to kind of just use the information, don't be afraid of your past. And then the other is, like you say, make sure that you're talking to the right people. Yes. It's just like, if you're going to sell something to a kid, you're not going to talk to the kids, you're going to talk to the parents, because the parents are the ones buying it. It's the same thing in a corporation. Mm-hmm. It could be HR, but it might not be. Maybe you need to talk to the C-suite. Maybe you need to talk to the CEO. So it's really knowing how to get your foot in, or being willing to make more than one call, because you might get the receptionist who then tells, like I had one last week, I talked to the main switchboard. She tells me who the person is. Then I talk to the secretary, and then I talk to the secretary again. And then I finally get, oh, really? That's not who you want to talk to. You want to talk to this. So, it's 5 and 6 calls. So it has to be corporates. You have to have some resilience and the willingness to
if you own a business, you better have some resilience.
Well, this is true.
Right? You better have some resilience if you own a business, but definitely in corporate, because they are gatekeepered up.
Yeah.
Right. So just being able to be strategic enough to get through the gatekeepers, which are some of the campaigns that we are now working on. Like as you go outside of your warm database, now we're going to look at campaigns that we can utilize to get through those gatekeepers. Yeah. Excellent. I love it. You guys, this is excellent advice. So one of the things that people always ask is,
and let me tell you the other one.
Oh yeah, please do.
Ask for help. We're terrible about it. Had I asked for help sooner, I would be even further along. You have to align yourself. You have to surround you think about like great wars. wars, the generals and this and that, and we read about them in our history book. They surrounded themselves with good people, strategists, the map maker, the ammunition, you had all of these people. You can't do it yourself. You've got to surround yourself with the people who have the tools to get you where you need to be. And don't be afraid to ask.
Right. No, I love that. And we all need it. It doesn't matter. Let me just tell you, I've been in business for 20 years. I still am reaching out. In fact, I reach out so much faster now. The minute I'm like, that's outside my zone of genius, I'm like, we need to hire the expert. Let's find it. Like, I'm not doing it. I just hired 3 people out of our Profitology business incubator community to help me with things that I'm like, could I do it? Sure. But A, we don't have the dedicated team right now because we're growing so fast. And B, they have a proven track record and expertise. I'm like, great, I'll have them do it. Perfect.
And C, I don't want to do it.
Want to do it, right? Like, and I don't want to do it. Like, some of these things I'm like, no. So, all right. So people always want to know, because you are in the Profitology business incubator. One of the questions that I get asked all the time is, what makes that so different? Because some people are, they're like, oh, how do I work with Kelly? What makes you, just because you were in other programs when you came to me. So why?
One is, it's not the same. It's like, I can think of 5 different people in here right now that all came into PBI at the same time. We're doing different things because our businesses are different. Our targets are different. So it's truly not a cookie cutter. It's not okay, well, you do this because this is how it works. And if you're not doing, if you're not getting the results, then it's not, you're not putting in the effort. You're not, you're sabotaging. No, you had the wrong damn plan. If you have the wrong strategy, it doesn't matter.
It could be both. It could be both, right?
Correct.
That's why we look at the three places.
But when you're, I'm doing all this and it's not. The other, I think, so on a personal level, the commitment within the group is amazing. Like, I have friends now that I know that I will have till the end of my business and beyond, that have truly become my partners. Entrepreneurship is so lonely. It's just like, as a healthcare executive, it's lonely at the top. And this is one way for you to create a community where, like one member, I hadn't seen him and I'm like, are you okay? I haven't seen you in a week. And it was just like, yeah, I was just busy. I thought I talked to you the other day. Oh yeah, you did. I forgot. But it's that where you're reaching out. And so it's truly a community. And
it's like family. To me, it feels like family. It is, and people even say, "Welcome to the family." Like when new members come in, it really is. It goes beyond business in there.
I mean, I know about people's kids. They're, you and I have had, conversations, and this is what I'll tell people who are maybe thinking of joining. When you join PBI, granted, you come into the family, you get the whole community. But a lot of times you think you're just another number, you're just another person in, it's just one more person in their sales funnel. I will tell you, I was in PBI less than a month, and my dad was in the hospital, supposed to be overnight surgery. Kelly personally reached out to me because he actually was in Vegas and was like, do you need anything? Is there anything I can do? Her team reached out to me. Sonia, Jasmine. I mean, it was like, these people didn't even know. I've been in the program, 3 weeks? And that level of concern for me and my family. And you don't get that everywhere. You don't get that most places. And hell, I've been in jobs I don't even get that. And, I'm part of the quote unquote team that they hired to be there. And so that level of commitment. The other thing that is so cool is that there's people at various points in their business. So you can be brand new and you got somebody that's, 5-6 months ahead of you, and you start to get like, oh my God. And it's like, well, wait a minute. I went through this. We all go through it. Here's how you go. So you've got people at various stages that you can model. And then the other is that the networking. And because you support this whole collaborate to accelerate that will be another intensive coming up, I'm sure.
We have one of my core tenets that we teach in the Profitology process is one of the ways to accelerate is to collaborate to accelerate, where we're leveraging other people's genius, which you're going to hear about a little bit later, where we're leveraging other people's genius, and we're also leveraging other people's networks.
And so really it's old-fashioned networking that, you know, we used to do, that because of cell phones and, you know, video stuff, people think we don't have to do, but we probably need to do it even more. And so it creates, we do it within the group as well as out of the group. And so it creates this bond and connections of these webs of people that we would have had no other way to connect with them. So it's just, it's a pretty special, I will say it's the best investment I've ever made in my business.
Thank you. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
That you are in the place that you're in the place that you are. I was gonna ask you, like, because this also wasn't, and this will be the last question I asked you, but I know that this wasn't an easy decision for you because you were not bringing in the consistency of clients that you desired, and you were in another another program, and you were like, what made you decide to say, like, that's it, I got to do, like, I will find a way.
It's funny because I was listening to it out at the pool because it was in the summer. So I'm sitting out in the back.
As you should be.
And I remember just thinking, I can continue to struggle, or I can bite the bullet and do it now. And it was literally my last hope. This is my last ditch effort to make this business go. Otherwise, I've got to figure out how to find a job. And the thought of going to get a job and not following through on what I truly know I'm here to be and who I need to touch was like, okay, I got to go all in. And luckily I have an amazing husband, because I was like, hey, I'm thinking, and he's like, well, why won't you just do it? Okay.
You're like, perfect.
And so it was kind of one of those, you know, this is what I've decided, but I kind of shared it as I'm thinking. And he was like, oh yeah. And I was like, oh good, because I've already done it.
You're like, FYI. That's awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. And it's been wonderful. And the one-on-one, I guess that's the other thing, is that, you know, some people think, oh, well, we'll do these programs and, you know, you get in a hot seat and you ask a question. But I mean, you get intimately involved in our businesses, and you want us to succeed almost as much as we do. So it's really a win-win-win.
Yeah, I would actually say I want you to exceed as much as you do. Like, I really do. That's
well,
important.
You have a vision that we can't.
Because I see past the stuff that you're allowing to keep you stuck at the moment, like, but you're going to bust through it. You're going to bust through it because I'm going to give you my love notes. I'm going to help you bust through it. Karrie, thank you so much for being here today. I hope you guys found that valuable, and her tips for getting into the corporate market, how important your positioning is, whether you're going to the corporate market or not. It's super important. If you want to connect with Karrie, executiveredwoodcoaching.com.
Yep.
Perfect. If you want to connect with Miss Karrie, and also if you know anyone who is looking to hire someone to help create that engagement in corporations, that is helping to create more employee turnover and more productivity, please connect with her.
Employee turnover.
What did I say?
You said more employee turnover.
Oh God, no, we don't want that. Cancel, delete. No,
like,
less employee turnover. You want everything to get better. You want things to get better in the corporate environment. Karrie is your girl. So, Karrie, thanks so much. I appreciate you joining us today. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. If you're interested in learning about the Profitology Business Incubator, you can check us out online at profitologybusinessincubator.com, or you can click on one of the links there to talk to a member of our client enrollment team to make sure that it's the right fit for you. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Come join us. Come be part of our family. You'll love it.
Yeah, come as long as you're functional. We don't want any more dysfunctional family. We want functional family. All right. Thanks, Karrie.
Bye-bye. Thanks.